day, everyone. How are you all doing? I hope everyone's doing well. NullJP here, and welcome back to some more Black Ops 3 gameplay and commentary. Today what I have for you guys is my rundown and thoughts about my trip to the MLG Orlando 2016 event. I'll give you some idea of what the venue was like, the setup for the game areas, the crowd, the casters, gun use, and anything else that I can think of along the way. In the background is a gameplay of Dom on Fringe that I have been saving up for like the last month or two for a chance for a really good commentary that I wanted to do, and with the event this weekend I thought this was the best chance to use it. It was one of the highest kill counts I had achieved to that point in Black Ops 3, so hopefully you guys enjoy it. Subscribe if you're not already with me, and if you do enjoy the gameplay and the content here today. So, MLG Orlando, what can I say? But wow, expectations exceeded. On the drive down to Orlando, which is only 90 minutes from where I live here in Florida, I wasn't sure what to expect. You never get an in-depth look at the event venue when tournaments are broadcast on the web, so this was really cool to see what it was like in person. It was staged at the Lowe's Royal Pacific Hotel, which is right in the heart of Universal Studios down in Orlando, in this massive event room that felt like it was the size of a football field. Right when you walked in, to the left was the open bracket game area. I think there was maybe 4 or 5 rows of game stations with a ton of matches going on. It was cool to see some people play that you never really get to see when they do broadcasts on the web. Some pro players were all mixed in, so there was some co-ed teams, and I think there was actually an all-girl team that had made it into the field as well. Just to the right of that area was the red and blue stages where most of the B-Stream live events were going on. I started in this area because Optic was first up on the red stage when I got there. Huge gathering to see them play, and they ended up winning that game. At the opposite end of the room, on the other side, was the sponsor booths and the game battles area. Didn't really make it over that way for the most part during my visit to the competition. I was more involved with watching the games and so forth because that's what I went there for. The main stage area was very awesome. Tons of seating, huge video screens to watch the action and get information about the games. The main stage player areas were out in the open, so no closed-in booths, so it was really cool to see the players right there in front of you going at it. The emotions from them when they stood up to hype up the crowd was awesome. It's one thing to see it on the web, but to see it in person was great. The casting stations were right next to either side of the main stage. I was pumped to see Maven cast in person. That guy has some serious energy, and if you heard him cast on CWL events so far this year, I've seen him in person at another event, you know that he gets hyped. It's a whole nother ball game when you see him in person. I was very impressed with everyone who casted, with Maven, Mr. X, Courage, Revan, and Benson. They all did a great job and kept the crowd very informed and into the game. It was pretty cool as well to see all the pros there. You can't ask for more than to have 106 of the top teams currently in Black Ops 3 all in one place going for the big money. So that was really awesome as an overall. As far as the matches go, the action was great. You could definitely tell everyone was there with an objective, no time for screwing around. Everyone brought their A games and were on point to the best of their abilities. The pro teams obviously crushed it in pool play, but it was so awesome seeing some of the other open teams give the pros a run for their money. If you watched my video from Thursday night, I predicted a few open teams would do well, and they really did. I also picked Envy to win it all, but I'll talk about that a little bit later. Pool play on Saturday was pretty straightforward. The only pro team that got pushed hard on Friday was FaZe, but Placer got the hype going, and they made it through just fine. Saturday was super long. I don't know if you guys read a whole lot about it, but I got to the event around 1 p.m. or so Eastern Time and didn't leave until about 1 a.m. There was actually a few games that went on till maybe about 3 a.m., I think including FaZe at one point, but I couldn't keep myself awake anymore and I had to get out of there. But it was a great day, 12 hours, you couldn't ask for more. Two of the more entertaining games Saturday involved open teams. A team named Bittersweet took on Envy and actually won Game 2 S&D off them. The crowd was going absolutely nuts. It was so loud. Chants were going off for them, but Envy took care of business and ultimately won 3-1. The other open team that was really awesome was the team Kingsman that came from the open side. I really liked them, and they really got the crowd going with them as well. They didn't do really well in pool play, but they did get a crack at Optic on the main stage. And for anyone who doesn't know Kingsman, they were just formed maybe 2 weeks ago or so, and they're made up of Parasite, Miracles, Mox, and one other guy that's slipping my mind right now made up this team, so no one really expected much from them this soon. Optic went up 2-0, and of course the Optic fanboys were all fired up, you know, yelling and chanting whatever else. But then Kingsman came back and took the 2 next respawns for Uplink Evac and Capture the Flag on Fringe. And if you wanted to hear a crowd get behind an upset bid, this one was out of control. It was so loud in there, and people who came to see Optic seemed to be intrigued by the upset. It almost felt like the Optic fans had turned the corner and started rooting for the upset. The final game was on Redwood S&D, and Karma made 2 of the sickest clutches a team could ask for with their butts on the line and kind of the position that they were in on a Saturday. So even though Kingsman lost the match, I think they have a great chance to do great things going forward. And this is all pending that Parasite stops retiring, because I think his Twitter actually says he was retired still this weekend, but he was obviously there at the event. Rise and NV was up next, and NV started hot 2-0, but Rise reverse swept them, and the crowd was just loving the action. I was having a blast. The action was insane. Everyone was going nuts about it. It was just an all-out great match. Rise and Optic was next, and I have to tell you, this was a great example of why you should never give up in any game that you play. Right off the bat, Optic went up something like 100-4 in hardpoint through like 2.5 hills. Rise stormed back, and they ultimately won 250-210, or somewhere right around in that area. I felt like the Optic fans were going to cry at one point. It was almost like dead silent in there. They just didn't know what even happened, that Optic just got completely flattened after the start that they had achieved on them. Rise won S&D to go up 2-0, but Optic was Optic, and they came back and won. I watched some more of the matches later in the night with FaZe and a few others, so it was a great day overall. Championship Sunday was out of control. So many close games, big-time crowd noise, and let me tell you, when someone got a 3-piece or a clutch or a 6-snipe or whatever else went on, you would think that your favorite sports team was on the verge of winning a national championship. It was beyond nuts. It's happened so many times all weekend. Ultimately, Envy made it through the losers bracket and back to a final with Optic. However, they had to beat them 2 best-of-5 series to win the title, because Optic hadn't lost. They made it all the way through the championship, or the winners bracket. Envy went up 2-0 to start the series, and the Optic fans were just crushed. It was dead silent in there. Some Envy fans started to pour in, and everybody was feeling the sweep coming on, and all the casters were calling for a sweep as well. But Optic won both respawns for Capture the Flag and Uplink, but Envy was just too strong on S&D. It took Game 5 to force the replay. This was the first time that I can remember that a championship was pushed into a second series to decide it. Even the casters who were commentating during the break were saying that this was without a doubt the best Call of Duty that they had ever seen. Optic ultimately 3-0'd Envy in the second series and won the title. Optic fans went nuts, as you would expect, but it was absolutely amazing. You couldn't have asked for a better ending and a better opportunity for someone to come back out of the losers bracket and ultimately beat the best team out there. So props to everyone involved. It was a great, great tournament. Overall, I had a great time. There was a couple things that bothered me, some unruly fanboys towards a certain team, and I'm sure you guys can figure out who that was, as well as about a 2-hour span on Saturday where the PSN network went down and they couldn't play any games because none of the casting tools were available and all the connectivity and everything like that. But that's really not their fault. They couldn't do anything about it. The only other thing that really was a little bothersome about the whole event was the space between games was just too long, in my opinion. They did so much talking between games, and it just kind of spaced everything out. I don't know why, but that's just the way they do it. You could definitely tell the crowd was getting a little bored there with some of the breaks, but that's just some nitpicks. But overall, MLG did a great job with the event, and when I can, I'll definitely visit another event if one's in my area, or I might travel to one, and you guys should definitely go and do the same if it happens to be in your area or very close. COD XP is coming up in 3 weeks, and a few of the teams referenced this MLG event as their tune-up for the event coming up here in a few weeks. So I think that really helped everyone bring in their A game and their best stuff just to kind of test out everything and make sure they're ready for the big money event coming up. So with that, guys, the game in the background will be finishing up. Hopefully I painted a great picture experience for everyone of the event and everything that went on. Thank you guys so much for sticking with me to the end of the commentary. Subscribe to keep up with me and everything else that I do going forward as I get more videos and content out for you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you have a great day, everyone, and I'll catch you on my next video.
Losing C. Hostile care package overhead. Hostile UAV above. Be advised, hostile ATXD spotted. Hostile UAV spotted. Securing Bravo.
Nice kills.
Be advised,